if we can find, we talk about sector by sector, talking about regulations, how we try to help those organizations. So by partnering together, how can we even be better with them? I mean, not only helping them in that use case, but also giving more value to the customer.
Yeah, I mean, that actually is a good conversation, because I feel like regardless of what sector you're in, everyone is protecting the same things. It's protection of data, protection of assets, protection of intellectual property, protection of the integrity of the infrastructure so it can transact your business. You want to make sure that all of those things are operating at peak performance, so that way you're not losing money, you're not losing intellectual property that's being stolen by somebody else and produced before you can get it to market. So regardless of sector, CounterCraft has a play, because every sector is going to have firewalls. Every sector is going to have detection and response. Every sector is going to have SIEMs that they're aggregating their data and logs in a central location. But every sector doesn't currently have deception in their environment, but they should. So mission first, I think it's our job to educate the customers that we have access to on why deception is missing and how it can help expedite things, and how important it is to know that if somebody is present in your network and you're not currently detecting it, but you do inside of your deception environment, that it commands your time.
And I guess that is when sometimes in some sectors regulations come in place.
Right.
Because there are some, for instance, in the finance sector, in some countries, deception is mandatory from a regulation point of view, because they see the value that you are describing, that they can detect new threats that perhaps the traditional security stack is not able to detect, because we've been talking about the alert fatigue, but also about all other different challenges that the traditional security stack has nowadays. So some regulation in some countries, for instance, we've seen that in Asia and in Europe, in some countries, they are trying to bring the use of deception as a valid technique in order to detect these new threats and attacks that are happening, usually internally, not externally. But also there are other sectors that are more interested in how can they detect any pre-breach activity coming from a specific advanced groups. For instance, in finance sector, we can talk about those Fin7 or any financial related motivated groups. But also we talk about DoD and Ministry of Defense. We can talk about that they want to engage with some specific threat actors because they want to be one step ahead, try to collect threat intel. So regulation sometimes can be also some helpful way to try to improve your detection capabilities. Sometimes, as we've seen in some regions, it's helping. Sometimes in other regions, there are like those, for instance, like CISA in the US, no similar organization in other regions. They also are forcing to use deception in order to try to improve your detection, as we're saying. So I guess that by these regulations, what they are trying to do is trying to improve organizations so they can be one step ahead, trying to detect everything that's happening as soon as they can, and so that the entire security is improved. No, that's the main point of the regulation in this case.
Yeah, and that makes me think with regards to the territories that we cover here at Mission First. You know, you brought up CISA, you got OD&I, and these other organizations that kind of provide oversight, compliance, governance, and overall help to the components that eat off of their charters, right? So whatever falls within their charters. I know that OD&I, if I'm not mistaken, they've got a program called Sentinel-1, where they do threat intel as a service. They have X amount of stakeholders that are allowed to pull off that enterprise license. Sounds to me like a target market should be deception as a service provided by whoever has the charter to help that particular segment of the government. So, you know, U.S. Cyber Command probably has some level of authority for the DoD, and then you got OD&I that's obviously going to be helping the intelligence community, et cetera, where they could do something like an enterprise license agreement that all of those people are allowed to eat off of that type environment, so everyone can take advantage of deception in their environment, right? And it's probably foreseeable that each one of those stakeholders has their own infrastructure that they can leverage in order to deploy. So I think that, you know, what's a challenge is going to each customer and selling them one-offs, right? No one wants to be the first. No one wants to be the last. If you have an aggregate that's acting as that broker, it could be a way for everyone to strengthen their security posture. So as we're sitting here talking, I'm going, I never really thought of it from that perspective, but it is software, right? So if you were to work with a customer, get them educated on why it's missing and why it should be there, and they believe in it, instead of going to sell to each individual stakeholder and rolling out slowly to further impact their ability to defend and detect, we could go to an aggregate that could perhaps work with CounterCraft and Mission First to provide that as a service to the people who they have a charter to help as a whole. So
no, and also I think working with an kind of an aggregator is good, because sometimes the activity you are going to detect from one threat actor in one organization is going to be the same, because the same actor is attacking other organizations. So you can use those TTPs and IOCs because the same actor is attacking other organizations in the government. So by working with that aggregator and sharing the threat intelligence that you are collecting, I think it's going to be even more powerful, because it's not like you are in a silo seeing what's happening in this organization. Right. You're also seeing the entire, like a picture, full picture. So that's something that works very well, and offering deception as a service to the whole, or all the organizations in that group. I'm working with Mission First, because of course you need clear people, clear personnel, so that they can work in some sensitive environments too.
That's right.
I guess that's a double win, because you can see the whole picture. You can see that the threat actor is attacking this organization, but at the same time is attacking the same one or another one in the same group. So you can then correlate that information. That, if not, would be very difficult to correlate.
Yeah, and I would put this in a different bit bucket too, because you have like threat intel as a service, but all of that is a derivative of what's already happened, right? And the intelligence that they're getting from each manufacturer, who's probably buying threat intel from some of the same sources, right? Not to mention the order of magnitude of open source threat intel that they should be ingesting as well. But this is more real-time threat intelligence. This is happening now. And you guys capture all the TTPs and you have all of that data. So perhaps it's something that's not even in the feeds yet, because it's a true 0 day that you guys are collecting, and it's still ending up in the threat intel aggregate that they provide as a service, right? I think there's definitely a couple of strings to pull on within that we're going to take home with us and see if we can start to implement it into our sales strategy.
Yeah, and also sometimes we say that what we are collecting is first-party threat intelligence compared to third-party that can be provided by many vendors nowadays, because this is something that is happening in those organizations, so it's totally targeted. It's not something that is happening in a remote part of the world.
Right.
So it's something that is real-time, targeted, happening in that organization. So it's something that, of course, is difficult to collect sometimes. But I saw the quality of the TTPs, the quality of the IOCs you can collect. I mean, it can be very good compared to some TTPs and IOCs that you can collect after an incident or after something happened. No, in this case, we are talking about real-time collection that as at the moment they are happening. So I think that's a big difference.
More specifically in your environment.
Yeah.
Right, as opposed to a second or third party environment that's
correct.
Albeit good intelligence, we want to know what's happening
Definitely.
and what's being targeted at us directly, right?
Yeah. That's very good.
Good.
Cool.